In today's Nancy Drew book, Nancy stares angrily at me from the cover. Don't look at me like that, Nancy. If you want a staring contest, I will give you a staring contest. The mystery is sabotage on a movie set, which is the exact same premise as February's HARDYBOYS book, just gender swapped. You know, I always suspected Frank and George were the same person. It explains her strange name.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
The movie is being filmed in town for 4 days. Just 4 days? I thought it took longer than a week to make a movie. Guess I was wrong. Anyway, the movie director has invited Nancy and her friends to visit the set. Everyone is super excited to meet the star of the film, handsome actor Brian Newsom. It was a lucky break getting Brian for this film, because there was a scheduling conflict between this movie and his big-budget superhero movie. Wait, how is there a scheduling conflict? Filming starts and finishes in half a week! We meet a lot of characters like Sal, Cora, Nysa, Lali, Spencer, Omar, Roberta, Scarlett, Zoe, and yeah, this is one of those books where it's really hard to keep track of all the characters. The mystery starts with an explosion. Somebody put fireworks in the coffee machine. No one is hurt, but all of the coffee is ruined! Oh no! While everyone's distracted, the culprit breaks into the costume area and dumps a bunch of ketchup on Brian's costume, so the director asks Nancy to solve the mystery. Nancy, Bess, and George spend the rest of the book bouncing around from character to character like a pinball machine. All of the stories overlap, but to make this review simpler, I'll discuss each suspect separately. Roberta Eli is angry because the movie filming will interfere with the town's 4th of July carnival. Again, I don't understand how they're having scheduling problems when movie filming is only 4 days long. Roberta complains a lot until the producer agrees to film a scene at the carnival, 'cause the carnival scene makes a really good book cover. Sal is a grumpy assistant who's bad at his job and regularly disappears. Nancy follows him twice, and she discovers he's secretly writing a movie script. He's just super protective about his writing. Because, gosh, I'm not done yet. No, you can't look at it. It's awful. I wrote it when I was half asleep. Everyone's gonna hate it. Also, Sal is grumpy because he hates his job. Fair enough. The director's sister Cora is a suspect because she's jealous of his success. In between chapters, she does a complete 180 and decides she's excited for her brother now. The next time she appears, she takes herself off the suspect list. So, basically, Cora's subplot resolved itself off-screen. Not very interesting to read about. Kendall is Brian's agent who complains about everything. She's secretly smart, but she pretends to be vapid all the time because... Come to think of it, the book doesn't explain. I guess she just likes to pretend to be stupid and shallow. Kendall is caught sneaking around the trailers at night, and she explains that she is there to sign one of the other actors as a client. Then she hops on a plane to LA and gets as far away from Nancy as possible. The culprit steals a locket and puts it inside Brian's coffee. That's a strange place to hide stolen goods. Brian starts choking to death on the locket because apparently he drinks his coffee in huge gulps without looking. Around this time, we learn that Brian is lying about the superhero movie. He did not get the part of the Blue Ranger. He is pretending he turned down the role because his ego is very, very fragile. Also fragile, the scenery. A piece falls down and almost kills Nancy. The end of the book tries to pass it off as a coincidence that Nancy was the person who almost died. Coincidence? Yeah, right. She's the main character. She's a magnet for near-death experiences. The last major suspect is Roman Beale, the director's former partner. Nancy looks him up on Google, and this is a big deal, because she had no idea what Google was in book 2. Congratulations on learning about Google, Nancy. You've just joined the previous decade. Also in this part of the book, the girls make jokes about the pirates and Cinderella. I have to confess, I have no idea what they're talking about. Like, I've seen all 3 Cinderella movies, and I can assure you there are no pirates in the Disney version. There is time travel, but no pirates. Ooh, Nancy Drew versus the time-traveling pirates! That could be a good book. Back to Roman. He talks about his long feud with the director, which ended with him losing his job and moving away. By huge coincidence, he's the editor on this movie. Yes, someone thought it was a good idea to hire the director's arch nemesis for the project. Unsurprisingly, all of the movie footage mysteriously disappears on Roman's watch. We're at the end of the book now, so it's time to solve the mystery. Get ready for this because it's ridiculous. The culprit is Brian. He committed all of the crimes because they happened in a Blue Ranger comic book. Yes, Brian was copying a comic book the entire time. That's how we know he's the culprit. This is so stupid. The reasoning is that he might get the superhero role if he acts like a comic book guy, which is ridiculous because he already lost the role. And besides, the Blue Ranger wears a helmet. Where's your helmet, Brian? Nancy goes through every incident one by one and explains how they match up with scenes from the comic book. We never see the comic book for ourselves, so this is just a laundry list of comic book scenes taken out of context. For all we know, Nancy is making the whole thing up, just like the author. Brian confesses. He explains that he had to copy the comic book while on set because he doesn't have enough free time to film an audition on his own. Brian, the 4th of July is a 3-day weekend. You had plenty of free time. The book ends with the director deciding to replace Brian with someone who isn't ridiculously stupid. Roman offers up his editing skills. He can copy-paste someone's face over Brian's in every scene of the movie. I think I know what facial expression they should use. The end. Post-book follow-up. The culprit's plan in this book is stupid. Really stupid. Committing crimes because you're following a comic book? Why? This plan only works if the movie is based on that particular issue of the comic book and they're making no changes whatsoever to the story. Obviously, that's impossible because a 20-page comic doesn't make a 2-hour movie. Also, why was it necessary to film every scene from the comic in order? You could easily switch the order around in editing. As it is, we've got a comic book which magically follows the same order as the filming. Sort of implausible. This book reminds me of the first 2 books in the series because there are way too many characters to keep track of. I would recommend removing or changing some of the less important characters like Roberta and Cora. On the other hand, having lots of characters kept the story moving because there was always someone different to talk to. So, depending on how you look at it, the character overload is either a weakness or a strength. I'm more inclined to say it's a weakness because I preferred the characters we've seen in other books from this series. As usual, I'm going to take a point off the final score because these books are double-spaced. I've got a new complaint about the book's formatting. See, the margins aren't consistent. Some of the pages are off-center, like page 72. The book is readable, sure, but it still looks bad when the text occasionally jumps around. Hopefully that is just my copy of the book. Overall, this book is okay. The ending is just plain awful, as you'd expect when the solution to the mystery is Nancy buys a comic book. The rest of the book is fine, albeit a little confusing with all the characters you have to keep track of. I give Nancy Drew Diaries number 10, A Script for Danger, a 4 out of 10.